My name is Mary Wilson. I am 62 years old. I live alone above a small flower shop in a quiet town. Every morning I open the shop before the streets become busy. The shop is small, but it is my whole world. My husband and I built it together many years ago. After he died, the flowers became my company. My husband, Thomas, was a kind man. He used to say that flowers understand the human heart. When people could not speak their feelings, flowers could speak for them. Every evening I closed the shop by myself. I climbed the narrow stairs to my small room above it. The town was full of people, but my room was always quiet. I had only one son. His name was Eric. When he was young, he helped me carry flower buckets and laughed among the roses. But children grow up, and sometimes they grow far away. Eric moved to the city many years ago. At first, he called every week, then every month, then only on holidays. But I still kept his room clean. Sometimes I waited beside the phone for hours. I told myself he was busy. He had work, friends, and his own life. A mother can create many excuses for the child she loves. His old room stayed the same. The bed was clean. His books were still on the shelf. I knew he might never sleep there again, but I could not change it. To other people, I was just the flower shop lady. I smiled, wrapped flowers, and said kind words, but inside I was always waiting for one person to come home. On rainy days, the shop felt colder. I would look through the window and imagine Eric walking down the street. I imagined his voice saying, "Mother, I am home." One afternoon, the phone finally rang. When I heard Eric's voice, my heart became young again. He said, "Mother, I miss you. I want to visit you." That night I cleaned everything twice. I made his favorite tea. I placed fresh flowers on the table. For the first time in years, my home did not feel empty. The next day, Eric stood at my door. He looked older, but to me he was still my little boy. I hugged him tightly and thanked God for bringing him back. We sat together and drank tea. I asked him about his life in the city. He smiled, but his eyes looked serious. Then he took my hand and spoke softly. He said, "Mother, this shop is too much work for you now. You are alone here. You should live somewhere safer, somewhere closer to me." I looked around the shop. Every corner held a memory of Thomas. The counter, the shelves, the old floor, even the broken chair. Leaving it felt like leaving my life. Eric said he had found a small apartment near his home. He said he would visit every day. He said I would never be lonely again. I wanted to believe him. That night I could not sleep. I held the shop key in my hand and thought about Thomas, but Eric was my son. A mother's heart often chooses trust before doubt. In the morning, I told Eric yes, I would sell the shop, I would move with him. His face brightened, and for a moment I felt I had made the right choice. The next days passed quickly. People came to look at the shop, papers were prepared. I packed my memories into boxes while Eric handled the money and the arrangements. When the shop was sold, I felt my hands become empty. I gave away the main keys, but I kept one small old key. It opened a wooden box Thomas had left me. I placed the last key in my pocket. It was not worth money, but it carried everything I had loved. It was the only piece of my old life I kept. Before leaving, I stood in the empty shop and whispered goodbye. I remembered Thomas smiling behind the counter. Then Eric called my name, and I followed him outside. We went to the train station together. Eric carried one bag and I carried another. My heart was afraid, but I told myself this was the beginning of a new life. At the station, Eric told me to sit and wait. He said he would buy the tickets and return quickly. I nodded and watched him walk into the crowd. 10 minutes passed, then 20. I looked toward the ticket counter again and again. I told myself the line was long. I told myself he would come back soon. An hour passed. The station became quieter. My hands began to tremble. I took out my phone and called Eric, but the call did not go through. I stood up and searched for him. I walked past benches, doors, and empty corners. Every stranger's face disappointed me because none of them was my son. A station worker asked if I needed help. I tried to smile, but my voice broke. I said, "My son went to buy tickets. He has not returned." The worker looked around and made a few calls. Then he returned with sad eyes. He said there was no ticket under Eric's name. My heart became cold. That was when Sarah saw me. She was a young nurse coming home from work. She did not know me, but she stopped. She asked, "Ma'am, are you all right?" I told her my son would return. I said he loved me. I said he was only delayed. Sarah did not argue. She only sat beside me and listened. Sarah helped me call Eric again. This time the number was no longer in service. I stared at the phone, unable to breathe. Something inside me finally understood. Eric had taken my money from the shop. He had left me at the station with one suitcase and nowhere to go. I wanted to hate him, but I could only cry. Sarah said I should not stay there alone. I said I had no home anymore. She looked at me with kindness and said, "Then tonight you can come with me." Sarah brought me to her small home. Her husband gave me tea. Her little daughter brought me a blanket. They treated me like someone important, not like a burden. The next morning I woke up in a strange room, but I did not feel afraid. For the first time in many days, someone had stayed beside me. Later, I remembered the last key in my pocket. With shaking hands, I opened Thomas's old wooden box. Inside were dried flowers, old photographs, and a small note he had written long ago. The note said, "Where love is, there is home." I held it to my heart and cried. Eric had taken my shop, my money, and my trust, but he had not taken my heart. I never got my flower shop back. Eric never returned, but Sarah and her family became my new home. I learned that family is not only blood. Family are the people who choose to stay.